as an entrepreneur, I'm really excited to hear about EOS systems. If you could all please put your hands together for Patrick O'Kane.
Use this microphone. Yeah, everyone back, all good, great. Awesome. Well, I'm here today to talk to you about. As Eric said before, I've been. I'm an athlete, so I grew up here, moved away, came back a little over, about 12 years ago, started at the Gangshan restaurant group. Gangshan Station grew from 1 to 2 restaurants within like the short span of a year and a half. Had a really good grip on running kitchens, but I didn't really have any idea of running a business. But that kind of energy and success fed into the second location. Then I'm running around with my head on fire. No idea what's going on. Just ultimately burned out from the biz for running 2 restaurants simultaneously. So made the difficult decision to sell. That was in February of 2020. We all know what happened after that. So here's this big problem. COVID comes along for restaurants, and all businesses were impacted deeply, but restaurants specifically. And so I saw this as an opportunity to really reinsert myself back into the business. Grew Gangshan West over 80% in 3 years through COVID. Through a couple of just kind of lucky and smart decisions. But ultimately, same issues came up. Really found that it wasn't the life I wanted to continue with, so made the decision to sell that. After that, I was kind of searching around, what do I want to do? I knew that I wanted to be involved in entrepreneurship, it's where my passion lies, and I knew that I also wanted to be able to help other people not make the same mistakes that I did. And so, while I was working with another company, they introduced me to this system called EOS, which stands for the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it was like the light bulbs went off in my life. Got really excited about it, decided that this is the path I wanted to take. So what I'm going to do here today is talk to you about EOS, what is it, how we look at businesses through the lens of the 6 key components. And so, good? Okay. So I'm just going to launch into it. I'm used to, full transparency, I'm used to doing this at a whiteboard in front of groups. So PowerPoint feels a little clunky to me. If it looks a little clunky to you, it's because it feels clunky to me. So just want to let you know about that. Let's see. Get this thing activated. Perfect. So real quick, agenda for today. We're going to roll in. We're going to get real. What are the frustrations that business owners have? Let's dive into that. Then we're going to go into keeping it simple. I'm going to introduce the EOS model. Takes away all the chaos, brings it down into 6 key components of your business. Then closing thoughts, Q&A. Hopefully we'll have some time for that. I'll keep things moving pretty quickly, so please save the questions for the end. So getting real. So all business owners have a bunch of different frustrations. And so one of those frustrations is that everything is chaotic. There's a lack of control within the business, right? So another frustration is, you know what, hey, I'm doing all this hard work, but it's really not leading to any profitability. And profitability, the secret sauce to all business, is really hard to manage. Then we go into the people aspect. Hey, how do I get great people to work for me in this organization? People that are aligned with what I want to do, motivated by the mission that we have. You hit the ceiling as a business, right? All businesses go through this. Right? You're growing, and you hit a level of complexity, and you're stuck. Sales are flatlined. This is a real pivotal point for a business. Either you break through that ceiling, continue to grow, you flatline, or you can fail. So that's one of the other frustrations that business owners have, is hitting that ceiling. And then there's ultimately that feeling like once we've hit that ceiling, nothing's working. What am I searching around for? Nothing's really sticking, nothing's really working. So through EOS, what we do is we want to keep things simple. Right? And how we do that, we know that all entrepreneurs, all entrepreneurial companies, they're dealing with 136 issues simultaneously. Right? But to the extent that we dig beneath the surface of all those issues, they're really just symptoms of the true root cause. And so EOS views this model that starts with your business and the center of it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the 6 key components first at a high level, and then I'll dig down into the tools and disciplines that we use to strengthen these 6 key components within the journey. So the first key component of any business is the vision component. This is something and how you're going to get there. Second key component we talk about is the people component. Okay, you can't execute on a great vision without great people. So we really dig down beneath the surface, find out what makes for truly great people in your unique organization. The third key component is the data component. And this is running your business off of facts and figures rather than the subjective feelings, emotions, egos that often drive decision-making in entrepreneurial companies. And so when we strengthen the vision, people, and data components, what happens is the organization becomes transparent. And all of those challenges and obstacles rise up to the surface, but also along with that, so do a whole lot of new ideas and opportunities. And that brings us to the fourth key component, which is the issues component. And it's creating a culture within the organization so that when you smoke out your issues, they get the culture within the organization. Everyone sees the things that are happening that need to be changed, and they make their way out from people's heads down onto a piece of paper so that you can tackle them, solve them, make them go away forever for the greater good of the organization. Then we go into the fifth key component, which is the process component. So the process is all about getting everything done, those major things you do in your business, the right and best way every single time. Okay? This ensures consistency, scalability, ultimately drives profitability when everything is done the right and best way every single time. And then the sixth key component, this brings it all down to the ground. As Gino Wickman, our founder of EOS Worldwide, author in Traction says, vision without traction is hallucination. So bringing this all down to the ground, executing with discipline and accountability, that is the traction component of the business. So here's Gino's quote, vision without traction is hallucination. So that's the EOS model. And when we're looking at businesses through the lens of the EOS model, we're on a journey together to strengthen these 6 key components, and we use a scale from 0 to 100% strong. Okay? Really, our goal, 100% strong is utopia, right? It doesn't exist. So we're trying to build companies up to 80% strong or higher in each of these 6 key components. The reality is that most companies start off operating around 20% strong in each of these 6 key components. So that's our first pass. And I'll just go ahead, the types of businesses that we work with. Okay? It's not a standard type of business, but it is the general, our target market. We'll get into a little bit more about it. But our target market, entrepreneurial companies, right? Business owners that are open-minded, growth-oriented, more afraid of the status quo than they are of change. Anywhere from 10 to 250 employees. I've worked with companies with employees. There are other implementers who've worked out with companies with thousands of employees. So these are, EOS is grounded in first principle business practices. Okay, there's no magic bullet or silver bullet, magic pill in what I'm going to share with you here today. This is just simple stuff, timeless practices, been around for 1,000 years, gonna be around for 1,000 years. So let's go back to the EOS model. I want to go launch into the second pass with this. So, and introduce the tools and disciplines that we use to strengthen each of these components. So in our vision component, the first tool or discipline that we use is what we call the 8 questions. Okay, the 8 questions are organized in this one-page document that we call the Vision Traction Organizer, VTO for short. And so this is what the Vision Traction Organizer looks like. And so let's walk through. It's a 2-page document, 1 page folded out like legal size. Have copies of it for you guys here. If you're interested in it, please after the presentation, come up, grab some stuff if this is compelling and you're interested. So we have the vision grid. I'll go back here real quick. So we have the vision side of the document, and then we flip it over and we have the traction side of the document. This is bringing it down to the ground, executing with discipline and accountability. So let's go through these 8 questions. Okay, first question is, what are your core values? Everyone's familiar with the term core values, right? Everyone kind of knows a little bit. Well, really, what your core values are there to be discovered. And we want to, I guide teams through discovering what their core values are. This is not core values that are what we talk about, permission to play core values. Does anyone have an idea of what permission to play core value might be?
What's required to be able to do business?
Exactly. Integrity, honesty. If you don't have integrity or honesty, you're not getting business very well. These are also not core values that you spread out as a marketing campaign, right? If you think back, and most of us in this room are old enough, so we remember what everyone was. You know what core values? What that meant. So we discover who you are at your core. Really bringing up who you are, not who you want to be, but who you actually are. We didn't clearly define what those core values are. Just a few words, right? We want all of your people wanting these core values. And then we want you to live and breathe these core values. Okay. Ultimately, when we get into the people component, I'll talk about how we relate these core values to attract the right people to the organization and repel people from the organization who do not fit with your core values. So the second question is, what's your core focus? Okay, this is your purpose, cause, or passion. Why are you in business? Your why. This has been called a million things. Vision statement, mission statement. We call it core focus. Yes, it's another kind of consulting term, but really who you are at your core. What's your purpose from behind this organization, and what is your niche? Because what we want to do is keep you laser focused, not straying outside, doing a bunch of different things. I lived with this, right? It's like, okay, I opened a restaurant, a year and a half later, I see a shiny thing. Oh, here's an opportunity. I want to go in. Really, if I had focused my attention on running the one restaurant that I had really, really well, then I would have had time later to build it. So we want to keep you laser focused down. What is your core focus? What do you do best? Every time you swing the bat, you're thinking about your part. It's the sweet spot of your business, your core focus. Third question we have here is 10-year target. Okay, I want to be clear. This is the #1 business goal that you have for your business. All right, Jim Collins and Woody Great calls this the hedgehog concept. So the #1 goal that you have for your business. Timeline is flexible. All right? This doesn't have to be 10 years, right? Anywhere from 5 to 30 years in the future. What's that #1 goal that you want from your business? That's a 10-year target. And so moving on to the fourth question is, what is your marketing strategy? And the marketing strategy is made up of 4 components. First of all, what's your target market? What are your 3 uniques? What's your proven process? And what's your guarantee? So target market, this is the geographic, demographic, psychographic profile of your ideal customer. We then add in the 3 uniques. These are the 3 things that differentiate you from the competition. In combination, make you different and better than everyone else out there that's doing this job. Then we go to the proven process. Proven process, 1-page, full-color, visual illustration of how you do business with that target market. Right? Keep it simple. We want to dumb this down. There's this old maxim in business, I'm sure everyone's heard it. Why tell someone something that you can show them? Right? This is where we're going with the recruitment process. Show them the customer along the way. And then the guarantee, fourth question, this simply removes any hesitation that you have in the sales and marketing process. It removes any of those obstacles. Some companies have a guarantee, not all companies have a guarantee. So once we get real clear on what are your core values, what's your core focus, what's your 10-year target, what's your marketing strategy, that moves us up to, brings us down to the 3-year picture. It sets us up for a really great 3-year plan. I want to be clear on the BTO, this is not a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. All right? This is designed to get the leadership teams of the business to see in their mind's eye what your company needs to look like 3 short years from now. Because if you can see in your mind's eye what the company needs to look like, the chances are that you are all going to hit it becomes so much greater. And so we start off doing that by predicting, first of all, our future data. Then we go into revenue, profit, and measurables. And from there, we break it out into the 5 to 15 things of what this company needs to look like. Okay? In creating that shared vision in your mind's eye, everyone rowing together to achieve this goal. That's going to set us up to achieving that 10-year target. And so once we're really clear on the 3-year picture, we then start bringing this down to the ground. Okay? Turning over to the traction side of the document. We've got our 1-year plan. Again, predicting revenue, profit, and measurables. And then we go into the 3 to 7 goals for the year. This is 3 to 7 goals, not 23. Okay? Because when everything is important, nothing's important. And EOS is about energy management. This is human energy management. We want to take all of that energy and focus it down, laser focused, so that you can achieve your objectives. So outline the 3 to 7 goals that you have for the year. We then start breaking that down even further into quarterly blocks. This is where we create the 90-day world for the organization. Help drive accountability. It's a psychological fact that human attention starts to fray at about 90 days. Okay, so we use this 90-day world to get all the most important things done in the business, setting us up for our 1-year goals, and then come back together every 90 days, setting new priorities for the next 90. This is how we start really developing driving traction. So again, going into the 3 to 7 goals for the company, we then migrate that down to each person on the leadership team has 3 to 7 individual blocks. Things that they're responsible for keeping on track, getting the most important things out in front of them in the next 90 days. 8th question is the issues list. Okay, talked about this before, a little bit of the issues component. This is, again, creating that culture where all of your people, when they see an issue, it gets out of their head, goes down into a piece of paper, makes it onto a list so that you can solve it, make it go away forever for the greater good of the company. So once we've got those 8 questions answered, our BTO is complete, we then go about getting those 8 questions shared by all. Right? How do you do that? Okay, because it's not just leadership teams that make up companies, right? So how you do that is you have to go out and tell them about it. So every 90 days, you're going out, you're telling your people, you're showing them, hey, this is where we're going, this is how we're going to get there, this is who we are. And to the extent that you can have all those people seeing that vision, sharing in it, wanting to be a part of it, rowing in the same direction, that's when magic starts to happen. Okay, that's also 100% strong in the vision. So the people component, this is made up of 2 tools. These are terms that were coined by Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great. First of those is called right people. Right? How do we go about getting right people? So the tool that we use to go about getting right people is a tool, very simple tool called People Analyzer. right? It has, at the top, we'll have your core values. So you outline, these are the EOS core values: humbly confident, grow or die, help first, do the right thing, do what you say. Don't put people's names there. We have a very simple rating system. Either they are living this core value most of the time, some of the time, or rarely. This just allows your people to see where they're succeeding, where they're falling short, how to adjust them through this process. That's the tool that we use to go about getting the right people. People that fit your culture like a glove, that you love having around. The second tool with this one that we use in the people component is what we call right seats. Okay? Right seats, these are people who are great at their job. They execute at a really, really high level. They have the genetic encoding, the skills, the experience to be really, really great at their job. The tool that we use to make sure that we've got right people, or right seats, is what we call the accountability chart. Okay, the accountability chart, in EOS, we start with the fundamental assumption that all major companies are made up of three major functions. Right? We have a marketing and sales function that goes out to the marketplace, generates demand, turns that demand into orders. You have your operations function, which executes on your product or service, delivers that product or service. And you have your finance function. This tracks money in and out of the organization, responsible for acquisitions. So EOS makes an assumption there are two additional seats to this. One is called the integrator, one is called the visionary. So the integrator, this is that person that's the glue of the organization. They harmoniously communicate and orchestrate between all of the major functions of your business. The visionary, this is that big ideas person. They come to every meeting with 30 ideas. They're an excellent creative problem solver. They love managing good relationships. They don't have the discipline to really drive the day-to-day business. That's where it's best left for the visionary or for the integrator. So those are the two. This is how we start building out an accountability chart. Ultimately, we will take this general premise and build it out to each unique company, right? Because maybe marketing and sales splits up into two separate major functions. Maybe operations has a few, maybe you have engineering and or manufacturing. Maybe finance splits out into HR major function or IT major function. Whatever it is, we create a unique accountability chart for your organization. We then go about defining what those functions are, and then the 5 roles and responsibilities for each of those seats. Okay, we want to keep this at a high level. 5. We are not making a detailed job description here. Okay, what are the 5 roles and responsibilities that each of these seats are responsible for? So we have marketing and sales. We then go, here's an example of 5 roles and responsibilities. One that we call LMA, leadership plus management equals accountability. If you are in a seat on the accountability chart that has anyone below you, your first role or responsibility is leadership, management, which drives accountability, or managing and control. So marketing would be, hey, you got marketing, hit sales numbers, sales, account management. So ultimately, we take this framework and we match people. We place people in seats. We take a structure first. So we create the structure right here. Structure first, people second approach. Okay, so we'll outline the structure. We define the roles and responsibilities for each of these seats. Then we go about matching people to the seats. So what they are great at, what they love to do, and what they consistently execute on, match the 5 roles and responsibilities in each of these seats. And so once we've done that, there are 2 kinds of people issues that arise when we look at people issues through these lens. First one is right person, wrong seat. Okay? So again, right person, someone that fits your culture like a glove. You love having them around. Everyone works they're not capable of executing in the ways that we need them to execute for that seat. Not getting done. Luckily, if you have an organization, we'll go back real quick. If you have a big organization, maybe there's another seat down here for them where they can be successful. But if not, you're in a for-profit company, you can't keep people around just because of that. That's when you have to make a tough decision. So the second type of people issue is we call wrong person, right seat. Okay, this is someone that executes at a really high level. They're really great at their job. But they are undermining your culture in ways you can't even see, chipping away. This is where I beg and plead with people. Please make a difficult decision in the short term, because in the long term, they're going to kill you. Everyone's familiar with the bad apple metaphor. That's what we're talking about with wrong person, right seat. So once we have all people, right seats, that's 100% strong, the people component. Right people, right seats, you've got to have both. Things will speed up a little bit here from here because people and vision are a big one. So let's launch into the data component. Again, running a business off of facts and figures. How do we do that? Our first tool that we use to do that is a scorecard. The scorecard is designed to give you a pulse on the business, right? To know today, how is my business doing? And so it looks something like this. We start off with the measurable. What is that measurable? Maybe weekly revenue, cash balance, whatever it is for your company. It's going to give you insight into where you stand. We then outline the goal. What's our goal for the company for this week? Because this is a weekly thing designed to give leadership teams an absolute pulse on the business. So outlining that goal, we then outline who's responsible for keeping that number on track. Who's bringing it to the meeting? Once we do that, we pair that with 13 weeks at a glance. Okay, 13 weeks at a glance allows us to see trends as they're developing, allows us to accurately predict, rather than having to wait around for a lagging indicator like a P&L that doesn't get to you completed until halfway through the quarter that the previous quarter, the quarter that you're reporting on. So this is how we start running the business actively on facts and figures to give people an absolute pulse, allowing them to make decisions in real time rather than waiting to make those decisions. Once we do that, we then migrate this scorecard to discipline. We go back to the accountability chart, think about that. Think of each of those major functions. Each of those major functions, those teams, have a scorecard. Ultimately, we migrate down so that every single individual in the organization is responsible for 1, 2, or 3 measurables, numbers they're feeding into that scorecard, allowing them to succeed, participate in your success as a company. Once we've got that, that's 100% strong in the data. So the issues, so again, mentioned, once we strengthen the vision, people, and data component, organization becomes transparent. We smoke out all your issues, right? The first tool that we use is creating that issues list. That is getting everything out of people's heads, down onto a piece of paper. We then go about going into this process we call IDS, or the issues solving track. So we've got our issues list right here. We then go into IDS. IDS is an acronym that stands for Identify, Discuss, and Solve. So what we find, identify is digging beneath the surface of the issue. Right? Because really, oftentimes what the issue that's written on the list is just a symptom of the true root cause. So we want to dig beneath the surface, really identify what that issue is. We then briefly discuss it with no one politicking. Repeating yourself more than once in a discussion, that's just politicking. So we eliminate that. And then we take a plan of action to solve it, make it go away forever for the greater good of the company. Someone owning that action, leading that in working with even the best leadership teams, what we find is that people sit around and they discuss, and they discuss, and they discuss, and they discuss, and they discuss. Rarely do they ever truly identify the issue. Rarely do they ever make a plan of action, making it go away forever. This is the phenomenon of death by meeting, right? People go in and they're so bored. Oh my gosh, we're not making any progress. So IDS is designed to eliminate that. We then go down the issues list. Through the issue solving track, identifying what are the 1, 2, and 3 most important issues that we need to tackle today. Identifying what the true root cause of the issue is, using the EOS model as a framework, as a lens through which to pass. Because remember, weakness in an organization or issues in an organization can be tracked back to each of those 16 components. We then briefly discuss it, again, no one politicking, and then take a plan of action, solve it, make it go away forever. Getting all of, once we're knocking down 3, 6, 9, 12 issues at a time, that's 100% strong in the issues component. So then we go into the process component. And the first step in the process component is identifying what are those major things you do in an organization. What are the things you do day out? Big, handful of core processes. So we identify what are your handful of processes. Maybe you have a people process, you have a marketing process, sales process, a couple different operations processes, customer service process, accounting process. We want to look at that, look at those handful, identifying those processes because they're unique for each business. We then take an entrepreneurial 20-80 approach to documenting process. Okay, so we want to document 20% of the process to get us 80% of the way there. Because if you go about documenting 100% of your process, what you're going to end up with is an SOP manual that is 3,000 pages long that no one's going to ever look at. It collects dust in the corner. Right? We see a lot of smiles out there. We all know what that's like. I created those for my restaurant. So no one ever paid attention. So looking at process, again, taking that 20-80 approach, 20% to get us all the way there. So once we've got that, we then go about packaging those core processes. Once they're documented, packaging in an entire booklet. We'll call it the 1 million cups way. If we're thinking of all the core processes of 1 million cups, setting up microphones or whatever it may be, putting it all in one place together so it's easy for your people to find. Once we do that, we then go about getting those processes followed by all. Okay, this ensures consistency, scalability, makes it easier to manage when everything is done the right and best way every single time. That's 100% strong in the process component. So bringing this all down to the ground, we're going to the traction component. And I introduced this first tool that we use already. We gave questions called rocks. This is where we create the 90-day world. So imagine you're running along in the business. Every 90 days, you take a step back, you look back where you've been, check in with where you are, look forward to where you want to go, aligning yourself to achieve those goals, and reinsert yourself back into the business. That's what I'm talking about with the 90-day world. Okay, the other tool that we use in the traction component is what we call the meeting pulse. So meeting pulse takes place in a few different ways. Again, going back to the 90-day world, we're going to create this quarterly pulse for the business so that every 90 days you are getting yourself out from the business to work on the business. Setting new goals and expectations to execute over the following 90 days. We then talk about the meeting pulse for the weekly meeting pulse. Okay, so this is one weekly meeting to rule them all. We call it a level 10 meeting. Takes place same day, same time, starts on time, ends on time, same agenda. One 90-minute meeting to take away, to clear your calendar from all those other, how dare I say it, bullshit meetings every week. So let's walk through the agenda of what we call level 10, designed to take your meetings from level 2 or whatever they're at right now, all the way to level 10. So we start off with, this is our agenda, good news. Everyone we're all humans here, so everyone goes around, shares a piece of good news. We take 5 minutes, personal best, business best, gets us out from working in the business to working on the business. We're a team, right? This is part of the culture. Then we go into the scorecard, reviewing the scorecard, 5 minutes. Hey, these numbers are on track or off track. Rock review. I'm on track with completing my rock. I'm off track with completing my rock, or the rock is complete. Those are the acceptable. There's any customer employee headlines that are out there. So 5 minutes for each of these agenda items. This is the reporting section of the meeting. So often, this is where people get stuck. They start trying to solve problems here in this reporting section of the meeting, and they put off the most pressing issues that they need to handle. So we want to make sure that any issues that are coming up in the reporting meeting drop down to a later part of the meeting where we IDS those issues. Okay, we then instill a weekly to-do list. This drives weekly accountability, so we're reviewing all the to-dos that we had from last week, making sure they're dropping off the list, being to done, from to-do to done. Then we spend 60 minutes of our 90-minute meeting IDSing those issues. So prioritizing, what are the most important issues that need to get solved this week? Just a gut check. Hey, anyone can reach out. Hey, I want to do this 1, 2, 3. Great. Identified it. Let's start in launching IDS that first issue. Knock it off the list. Go into the second one. Knock that off the list. Go into the third one. Knock it off the list. Repeat. Identify again. Again, you get into a rhythm where you're solving 6, 9, 12, 15 issues at a time in one 90-minute meeting, making them go away forever from the regular company. We then conclude briefly, recapping any to-dos that we have coming out of the meeting, and then also noting any cascading messages. If you'll remember back to the accountability chart, hey, maybe there's someone that's not on the leadership team level or further down in the accountability chart that needs to get this message. So we want to make sure that we make a note of that. Hey, Bobby on the production floor needs to get this message that came out of our IDS session. So make sure that that gets noted. And then we give the meeting a rating. Everyone goes around. Give the meeting a rating. I don't know what that means.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. Great. 10 minutes. Perfect.
10 out of 10.
Everyone, 10 out of 10, yeah. 1 to 10, 10 being best. That's why we want a great meeting. Below 10. Once we're doing that every single week, tackling issues, executing on our vision with discipline and accountability, that's 100% strong in the traction component. And this is the EOS model. So, final thoughts. All businesses, the EOS creed is you can't run on multiple operating systems, you must choose one. If you try to run on multiple operating systems as a business, you can call operating systems, operating models, whatever you want to call it, it's going to create confusion in your people. Right? I mean, some people are speaking Spanish, some people are speaking French, some people are speaking Chinese. What do these terms even mean? I have no idea. Really committing to one, whichever one you did, that you want to do, so you're all speaking the same language within that organization. Choose and use a system which allows you to get more of what you want out of your business. So some resources here. I've got some books up here given out for free if you guys want them, and I have a little workbook here that goes over what we've talked about here today. Any questions that you have? Shoot.
Just a quick question. So, are you like a consultant?
So, yeah, I'm an EOS implementer, so I have 3 roles in that. Teacher, facilitator, and coach. So I'm not an answer man. I teach EOS in its pure form, teaching the systems and tools to use and how to use them. I facilitate conversation in the room, going in, entering the danger, having hard conversations when there's an elephant in the room that we need to get out and talk about, and also reading, working on team health, and then coaching, because I get to see a lot of different businesses and how they operate. I've also got my own decades-long experience in business, so that's my role as an EOS implementer, working with leadership teams to strengthen their business.
So then how long are these engagements? Is it like a 3-month thing?
So, yeah, I'm more than happy to share with you about the EOS recruitment process. I don't have it. I don't have a slide on it, unfortunately. What we find is that we organize it in 3 different days. So we have a focus day, vision building day 1, vision building day 2, and then we launch off into the quarterly world. So ultimately, we find that on average, companies end up working with us for about 2 years in order to strengthen themselves at 80% strong in each of the 6 key components. Some do it faster, some choose never to stop with EOS because they really love having an implementer there in that space. But happy to share more with you guys about that, what that process looks like.
Hi, my name is Peter. In terms of trying to find the right person to fill a seat, what are techniques you would recommend in terms of interviewing or personality tests or something else?
Well, really, I mean, I think the first step for if we're talking about right person, again, getting back to those core values, is are they aligned with your core values? Right? Using that people analyzer to, well, first of all, using the DTO to understand what are your core values, who you are, not who you want to be, who you are in your core. And then getting those people, attracting to the organization, having a little speech. Hey, if you are a part, if you want to be a part of XYZ company, this is how we do things. We do the right thing. You know, we make sure that how we act and how we carry ourselves as if our mother was watching. So doing the right thing, getting the short little spiel. Oftentimes we find people self-select at the beginning of that interview process. If you're really selling your core values, and they're not in alignment with it, they're going to just kind of peter out.
But how do you keep them from just telling you what you want to hear?
I mean, there's always that risk, right? So it's really making the sell. And then you're all obviously you use the people analyzer to evaluate your people all the time. So then you'll be able to see, hey, after 30 days, we can evaluate it.
Last question.
Thank you, Dr. Ron. Talking about personnel, obviously that's crucial to anything being successful or not. And like what Peter was saying here, he said, he nailed it, kind of answered it. How do you get the truth out of these people? You're taking what they think about their work ethic and hope that it works, and then for 30 days you just said now, we'll review, in 30 days, see if you actually fit in our company, or would it be better to actually get something like a personality like questionnaire, for some PhD person that might more narrowly and accurately define what their core values actually are, and then you can not have a fail, because it's kind of like guesswork.
Yeah, what we find is that it's really difficult to track down what someone's core values are through a personality test. So the test that we use, indexing test that we use is the Colby Index test, which is, it defines people on 4 different levels. Let's say, hey, I'm a fact finder, follow through, quick start, integrator. But that's really a tool that's more geared to getting right seats. Like, hey, this is how a person works intuitively, so I want to make sure that I'm attracting the right seats. Right people is something that you have to use your intuition. So if you're delivering a strong core value speech in the hiring process, you've got your team there, they're going to have a sense for it, right? There's no perfect science to this. This is, and then having the systems in place where you review your people. Hey, 30 days after. This is, maybe you're doing a trial period, 30-day trial period, and then you go on a 60-day or 90-day probationary period. Until you can make sure that it is a core values fit. Unfortunately, most companies are in a position where they can really wait all that long in order to see if it's going to work out with someone. And to be honest, you can think you've made a great core values hire and it turned out to be a terrible one. So really, it's using your intuition, evaluating after 30 days, and continuing to use the people in line in order to make sure that you have the right people in the organization.
All right, let's put our hands together.
If you have any questions, feel free. I'll stay up here. I've also got free books and these handouts just in case that I love talking. I love talking about this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, I found that really insightful. I feel like, as a small business owner, a lot of times we're doing. And it's hard to even think through taking the time to be more organized with that.
Well, we're trying to figure it out ourselves. I made that mistake. There's a better way.
I want to give a huge shout out to all of the organizers. Raise your hands, stand up. We're up the game every week, and when we take our month off, we're going to be employing some of these strategies on our 1 million cups organizing situation. Moving right along, we did that. Big thanks to our sponsors, Charlie and Troy Ball, who generously donate the space each week, Western Carolina University, SCORE, EUS Entrepreneurial Systems, Patrick O'Kane, ERC Broadband, Mountain BizWorks, Hatch Co-working, Dynamite Coffee Roasting Company, Baird, the Brookshire Garside Group, and Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. Do I have the right slideshow here? Well, we're working on this sponsorship opportunity, so if you would like to get your very own 1 million cups name tag, we're going to be launching those when we come back in September. And we've got some really fun surprises for our first week back. Coming up next week is Heart of the Tale. If you are into Dungeons and Dragons or know someone who is or has like maybe family in town, this is a great activity. It's a business that it's like a group experiential, not a tour, not on Zoom, but you go and you play Dungeons and Dragons. I feel like a couple people have met, but that's going to be exciting. Today we have the Lunch and Learn Summer of Money, Part 1. Get practical tips on budgeting, track strategy, and wealth building from Accounting Biz and Fair Private Wealth. That's right here. No gimmicks, no sales, just real advice from a tax pro and a money manager. So that'll be happening at 11:30. And the AI Audit Conference is happening at the Collider this week. Ben O'Connor is putting it on with Jose, I can't remember his last name. And I don't know, it is ticketed. I don't know where you can buy tickets for that. But as AI is coming up more and more and more, the digital nomads do a really good job of putting on different events that you can plug into. And on the 19th, Sunset Season 2, Pillar Rooftop Bars, immersive rooftop music series by Radio Productions, DJ Audio, and one MC is on the guest list for free entry. So if you want to get out and enjoy the sunset, you have free entry on the 19th. Does everybody get it? I get it.
If you want to get the tickets to the AI conference, just go to AI Productions and just look it up on Google. You can pick it up the website.
Great. Okay. And Sherry Weeks.
Yes.
Take the microphone.
Good morning, everybody. I am representing the White Horse Black and Mountain Music Center, and Zach Hinkle is going to be coming and presenting to us in 2 weeks on the 30th. So I hope you all will join us. They want to very much increase the attendance for the Blues Festival that is taking place September 26th to the 28th. So looking for attendees and also sponsors, those who would like to sponsor. And this is the first of many of these type of events. They're going to start doing 3 to 4 events every year. So July 30th, Zach Hinkle will be presenting to us. Thanks.
Will those be highlighted continually? There's one of the cups, like a little community event page that you have there. The White Mountain, like the concert series she's discussing.
Oh, yeah, I think it's one concert, right?
For this year, at
For
least
this
right
year.
now. But we can
Yeah, and you'll be hearing more about it. I'm really fascinated because I found out that the White Horse Black Mountain, during the hurricane, decided to just become a donation-based farm. Like, let's go, what a wild world. I asked Zach, I was like, are you the accountant or is your brother the accountant? He was like, my brother's a lawyer. So I'm really fascinated to find out how that works as a business structure. Okay, moving right along. Sign up for the newsletter. So as many of you know, the Hatch Foundation is no longer sending out the weekly emails for us. So if you want to find out what's going on, scan this QR code and get on the email list. And, I'll just leave it there. And if you'd like to sponsor, just let us know. We're so glad you're here. We hope you have the best week. It feels like things are ramping up this summer. And if we can all take a moment to get on stage with Patrick, we're going to take the group 1 MC photo. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Come on, everybody. Let's get up and take a photo with Patrick. All right, everybody squeeze together. Come on, ready? All right, we got this.
Come on.
Somebody's got to be last.
All right, 1 million cups. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.